speed, skill, vision. He was a 7-time NHL All-Star, 2-time Lady Byng Trophy winner, and Olympic gold medalist. He was a player who had scored 30 goals in a season 7 times and was inducted into the Hockey Hall of Fame. A player who, no matter how many times he fell down, would always get back up. Standing at 5'10", 180 pounds, number 9, Paul Kariya. Paul Tetsuhiko Kariya was born on October 16, 1974 in North Vancouver, British Columbia. Dad, who was born in a Japanese internment camp during World War II, represented Canada in rugby and then became a high school teacher. Mom has Scottish roots and was also a teacher, and at the age of 3, Kariya was trained as a figure skater where he developed his speed and edge work on the ice. Although he competed in a variety of sports as a child, it was hockey that he ultimately chose. After playing a couple of seasons for the Penticton Panthers, Kariya chose to join the University of Maine in the NCAA. In his first year playing for the Maine Black Bears, Kariya recorded 100 points in only 39 games, winning him the Rookie and Player of the Year. He had gotten the attention of NHL scouts. In the 1993 NHL entry draft, Kariya was drafted 4th overall by an expansion Mighty Ducks of Anaheim team. Due to the fact he decided to return to Maine the following season, as well as a contract dispute with the Mighty Ducks and the NHL lockout in 94-95, Kariya didn't get to start in the NHL until the January of 1995. His 18 goals and 39 assists in 47 games led the team in scoring, and his exciting performances resulted in comparisons to Pavel Bure's speed. Kariya's acceleration and agility are unquestionable, but it was his ability to make plays even at top speed that made him special. His vision also drew comparisons to Wayne Gretzky, as he was able to see plays develop and anticipate what's going to happen next. Kariya was already the star player on a struggling Mighty Ducks team, and even though there were nights when he single-handedly won games for them, it was not a recipe for success. Then on February 6, 1996, something happened that would prove to be one of the turning points in Kariya's career. The Winnipeg Jets were about to relocate to Arizona the following season, and with expensive contracts coming up for Keith Tkachuk and Alexei Zhamnov, there was one player that was expendable, Teemu Selanne. The Mighty Ducks would end up sending Oleg Tverdovsky, Chad Kilger, and a 3rd-round pick to the Winnipeg Jets for Teemu Selanne, Mark Chouinard, and a 4th-round pick. The trade turned out to be heavily lopsided in favor of the Mighty Ducks, as Kariya and Selanne would instantly become one of the league's most dynamic offensive juggernauts. It was a match made in heaven. Kariya's speed and vision were unparalleled at the time, and the only player who matched that was Selanne. Anaheim's dynamic duo would develop a telepathy that would cut right through defenses, and Kariya would enjoy career years for the next few seasons. Kariya had developed into a player who was electrifying, a player who would put you on the edge of your seat. Paul Kariya had become a superstar. All good things come to an end, however, and without a proper supporting cast, opposing players were able to focus on Kariya and Selanne, leading to a decrease in offensive production. As the struggles continued in the 2000-2001 season, a shakeup was needed and Selanne was traded to the San Jose Sharks. Without his partner, Kariya's offensive output continued to drop, coinciding with the decrease in the hype around the team and fan attendance at home games. Kariya remained an effective player, and fans of the diminutive forward often demanded that he should join a better team that could better utilize his skill set. Kariya starred in the 2002 Olympic Games in Salt Lake City. Playing on the top line with Mario Lemieux and Steve Yzerman, Kariya held his own. In the gold medal game against Team USA, he would score the goal that tied the game at 1, as Canada would go on to win the gold medal. As Kariya's contract ended and he had become a restricted free agent, he decided to re-sign with the Mighty Ducks on a 1-year $10 million contract. This decision would stand the test of time, as Kariya would find the following 02-03 season to be the most memorable of his career. Before the season started, the Mighty Ducks had acquired Adam Oates and Peter Sikora to play with Kariya, forming their new-look top line. Even though Kariya's 25 goals that season was nowhere near his best, His 56 assists helped his team make the playoffs as the 7th seed in the Western Conference. In the first round of the playoffs, facing the defending champions, the Detroit Red Wings, the Mighty Ducks were heavy underdogs. Kariya would score the game-winning goal in Game 1 in triple overtime, as the Mighty Ducks would end up sweeping the Red Wings in 4 games. In round 2, the Mighty Ducks would defeat the Dallas Stars in 6 games to reach the Western Conference Finals, where they would sweep the Minnesota Wild in 4 games. The Mighty Ducks had reached the Stanley Cup Finals for the first time in franchise history and were set to play against the New Jersey Devils. The Mighty Ducks continued to be huge underdogs, but would go toe-to-toe with a stacked Devils roster. Heading into Game 6 down 3-2 in the series, Kariya had his most defining game of his career. Midway through the second period, he received a massive open ice hit from Scott Stevens and laid motionless. The stadium went silent as minutes passed by. Still no movement. And just when everyone had started to prepare for the worst, Kariya's body shifted. He had regained his consciousness and was being helped off the ice. But that was not the end of Paul Kariya. He had the heart of a lion, as he would return later in the game to secure the win to send his team to a Game 7 in the Stanley Cup Finals. He would later admit that he had no memory of what had happened that game, which is ironic, as this is the very thing people remember him for. The Devils would end up winning Game 7 and the Stanley Cup, and Kariya would never make it back to the Stanley Cup Finals again. In the following season, Kariya chose to join up with Selanne in Colorado, as they had decided they had the best chance of winning a championship there. Kariya's $1.2 million contract was a sharp decrease to the $10 million he received a year prior, and Mighty Ducks fans were not happy with him, as they saw that as a huge betrayal and that he had abandoned the team, as Anaheim would have been able to match Colorado's offer. Kariya would get booed upon his return to Anaheim, as the relationship had been severed. Kariya's time with the Avalanche was plagued with injuries, and the team would lose in the second round of the playoffs. With the lockout in 04-05, Kariya took a year to recover mentally and physically. He would sign a 2-year contract with the Nashville Predators, leading them in scoring both seasons. With Kariya, the Predators would enjoy what was at the time their most successful seasons in franchise history, even though playoff success was hard to come by. Kariya went on to play the next 3 seasons with the St. Louis Blues, continuing to post impressive numbers when he was in the lineup. But injuries continued to bother him, and his production wasn't nearly as abundant as years past. As his contract was running out, Selanne, who had returned to the Ducks, was trying to convince Kariya to join him, but at that point his injuries had caught up to him, and he was advised by doctors not to continue playing. Kariya retired on June 29, 2011, at the age of 37. Kariya ended his career without a Stanley Cup, but it was not this that was his biggest regret. It was a career plagued by injury problems. His 6 concussions impacted him greatly, and for a player who relies heavily on his hockey IQ, we can certainly understand why his career was cut short. And even then, Kariya did not stand down and was openly critical of the National Hockey League, stating that more needs to be done to protect the players. It is because of players like Kariya who made the problem come to light, and it is because of players like Kariya that we now have a concussion protocol. Even to this day, Kariya remains repulsed by the lack of action from the league, but he is healing, soaking up the California sun. After retirement, Kariya has been spending time with his significant other in their beach home, often surfing and having a meal with his friends. Time heals all wounds, and I'm hopeful Kariya will continue to find his inner peace. Paul Kariya had left Anaheim as a public enemy, and he hadn't returned to the Honda Center until the night his good friend and ex-teammate Teemu Selanne got his number retired by the Ducks. The last time Kariya was there, he was booed every time he touched the puck, so he was prepared for the worst. But the fans had already forgiven their former captain, as they cheered when he showed up on the Jumbotron. Kariya was the first superstar in their franchise, and at a time when the hype was low and there wasn't a lot of interest in the team, it was Kariya who brought the team into relevance, and it was Kariya who brought fans into the stadium. Kariya would later have his number 9 retired by the Anaheim franchise. Kariya would also be inducted into the Hockey Hall of Fame for his contributions to the game of hockey. It is with this that I like us to take a lesson from Paul Kariya. If you fall down, always pick yourself up. Things happen in our lives and sometimes they're out of our control. But if we give our best effort and make the most out of a bad situation, we can live our lives without any regrets. That's it for now. Thanks for watching. If you made it to the end of the video, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. See you soon.